Hello, my cookies, and welcome. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I have a German apple pancake. Now, if you don't know what this is, it's essentially a marriage between kind of like a Dutch baby and a crepe. We've incorporated some caramelized, delicious apples. It's fantastic for breakfast, for dessert, what have you. It's good. I love it. It's simple. It's the perfect fall treat. So, now that we know what we're doing, let's gather our ingredients. You are going to need a cup of whole milk. I have some pumpkin spice here. Ground cinnamon is absolutely fine and actually probably preferred, but I love my pumpkin spice. I got some Granny Smith apples, some vanilla, some brown sugar, some butter. You need some eggs, AP flour. Last but not least, some salt. If you watched some of my other streams, you saw that I made some maple butter. Now, what is maple butter? It's essentially maple syrup. All the water's cooked off, and then you incorporate some bubbles and air, and it turns it into the consistency of peanut butter. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit on top of this pancake. Delicious. So now that we know what we're doing, we've gathered our ingredients, let's get cooking. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna heat my oven 425 degrees. I want the oven rack on the lowest shelf. All right, we're gonna build this recipe on the stove, and we're gonna finish it in the oven. Seems like a little bit extra work, but I like the hands-off time. So let's get started. First, we're gonna make the batter, and then we'll get into the apples. All right, we're gonna do our wet ingredients and our dry ingredients because we're adding wet to dry today. To start, we are doing 3/4 of a cup of AP flour. Next, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons packed brown sugar here. For our salt, we're gonna be adding 3/4 of a teaspoon of table salt. If you use kosher, you can go up to a teaspoon. All right, let's give all this a little whisk. Pick up any clumps. We're gonna set that aside, and let's do our wet ingredients now. All right, for the eggs, we're gonna be using 5 whole eggs here. We don't have anything other than the steam evaporating here. It's gonna kind of puff things up. There's no baking powder, there's no baking soda. We gotta get the temperature of the oven right, and we gotta get the moisture just right. So let's start with 5 eggs. 5, let me wash my hands. To these eggs, I'm gonna add 1 cup whole milk. And let's add our vanilla. If you know me, I like my vanilla. So I'm gonna be adding 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Just finish this bottle here, and there we go. Yeah, we're gonna add that there. All right, so we're just gonna whisk this up. Look at that color, a little bit of brown in there from that vanilla. Make it all nice and creamy, perfect. All right, we're gonna combine the wet with the dry, and we're gonna do it in 2 parts. So let's add half the wet here, whisk it around, don't overmix. So we're just getting this in there, and now let's add the second half right here. All right, don't over whisk it. Just want to make sure this batter is smooth. They were smooth. Okay, now we're gonna let the batter rest for a little bit, and we're gonna do our apples. Let's start with 2 Granny Smith apples. Let's go ahead and peel those. I'm gonna core them, slice them relatively thin, about 1/4 inch in quarters. If you don't have a peeler, just do it with a knife. My oven's preheating. All right, I'm just gonna quarter these apples, take out the core, and slice them thin. Now let me know down below in the comments if you've ever had a German apple pancake. I'd love to know whether you have them often or it was back in the day. And if it was back in the day, why haven't you had one recently? I think 2's enough. So one of the reasons why I'm using Granny Smith apples here is because they're sturdy, they hold up. They don't have the sweetness that other apples have. So we're gonna add a little bit of brown sugar, and that'll make them less tart, nicely balanced with the sweetness, but more importantly, we're using them for their hardiness, their sturdiness. That's why they're a favorite in apple pie, and that's why they're a favorite for a lot of cooked apple recipes. I'm just gonna cut these about 1/4 inch thick. You want them big enough to stand up, but you want them thin enough so they cook through and are tender. All right, we have our apples. Let's head over to the stove. We're gonna melt 4 tablespoons of butter over medium heat in my 12-inch X-Clad skillet. Now remember, when you use a skillet, you want it to be oven safe because this whole thing's going in the oven and it's going in a hot oven, 425 degrees. So if the handle isn't metal and it's plastic, you might have an issue. All right, let's head on over. Here we go. Let's get the butter. So while we're waiting for the butter to melt, let's prep our other ingredients. I'm going to be adding a packed 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar with the apples. So while the butter melts, let's go ahead and get that ready. All right. So to the butter, I'm going to add these apples. Remember, medium heat. I'm going to add the brown sugar. And I'm going to add a little bit of pumpkin spice. Again, use cinnamon here if you don't have pumpkin spice, but I'm feeling the pumpkin spice. So I'm going to add a heaping 1/4 teaspoon pumpkin spice here. All right. So over medium heat, if you need to drop it down to medium low, you're going to cook these apples until they're tender. That's going to take upwards of 8 minutes. If your heat is too high, they will burn. So please pay attention. All right, we're also going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to these. There we go. Levels of flavor. Absorbing that butter. Let's cook them a teeny bit longer. All right. Now that my apples have softened and the butter and sugar have kind of glazed everything, it's time to add the batter. Now, you need to work quickly. You need to add this batter and then you need to stick the whole thing in the oven. It's going to take 15 to 20 minutes in the oven. The pancake's going to puff a little bit and the exterior is going to get crispy. That's what we're looking for. Let's do it. Here we go. Off heat. In the oven, bottom rack. There we go. Hey Google, set a 15-minute timer. Let me rotate this pancake. Oh my God, this thing is amazing. All right, this is almost done. 15 minutes might be a little bit too long. All right, let's go ahead and grab this German apple pancake out of the oven. Holy moly, look at this. Look at this. It is puffed. We got a little bit of dark color on here. The sugars have caramelized. This is a hot oven, but look how much it is puffed. Look at that. We got a puffy on the inside too. This is depth. This has depth. But look, I pulled it out of the oven and it's shrinking down. That's normal. That's fine. We're going to let it cool a little bit. Let's cut it up and serve it almost immediately here. All right, let's go ahead and take this out. Oh, yeah. Bellissimo. All right, now let's get a little bit of this maple. Drizzle a little bit of this on. Russell, why wouldn't you just use maple syrup? Well, because this looks a little bit better. Let's go ahead and dig in here. Softened apple. God, perfect sweetness here. I'd say with the maple, this is probably more dessert than breakfast, but let's go ahead. Take a bite. Oh my God. So fantastic. You get a little bit of the egginess there, but it's not eggy per se. That's that like crepe aspect of it. But then the puffy fluffiness, that's the pancake aspect. And then you get these pumpkin spice, Granny Smith apples. And right on the tail end, that maple butter, sweetness, goodness, deliciousness. Yes, please. Have this with a nice cup of coffee after your bountiful meal. It's fantastic. Bottom, dark brown. Any longer, I'll be worried about this burning. So I'd say about 15 minutes here. You want it to puff, get the dark brown ring, but then you want to make sure the center gets cooked through and it's not liquidy anymore. So about 15 minutes. Pay attention. So that was a German apple pancake. If you like what you saw, don't forget to check me out. I'm on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. The best way to support this channel for free is subscribe to my YouTube. Other ways to support is I have a whole bunch of affiliate links down below each video. If you buy anything after clicking on the link, I'll get a little bit of kickback. And that's a great way to support the channel. It's also only good stuff. There's no junk, only good stuff, only stuff I use and stuff I like. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.